Hi everyone, my name is Steve Black. Welcome to the Let's Talk Referrals vlog. Listening is an art form. Unfortunately, we're always in a rush and don't take the time to really listen to the person we're talking with. In fact, often we talk to the person instead of with them. We've all experienced that. We call to tell a friend our exciting news, and while we share our news, we can hear their keyboard tapping in the background. If they really cared about you, wouldn't they stop for just 5 minutes to listen to what you have to say? We do it to others all the time without realizing it. You can see where I'm going with this. It's hard to build business relationships to help you grow your business when we clearly aren't listening to what they say. If you want to enjoy long-term business relationships, you need to develop the listening skills so you can let others know that you care about what they have to say. The techniques in this video are ways to develop the art of actively listening. Now, do you want to listen better? Really hear what other people are saying? If you don't, you can stop listening right now. Still here? Good. Without a strong desire, you won't actively participate in the art of listening. If you do want to be a better listener, or what I like to call an active listener, you need to practice with everyone you converse with. The first thing is to start listening without thinking. I know. It sounds weird, right? And this is a tough one. We are so used to thinking about what we want to say in response to the other person that we often only hear what we want to or miss the full meaning behind the conversation. This is called selective listening. You'll likely need to consciously remind yourself to stay focused on what the other person is saying. And with practice, it will become much more natural until you no longer need to think about it. The next thing is don't interrupt. And we do like to interrupt people when they're talking. You might notice you do this even more with people that you're close with. Spouses, close friends often interrupt their other person to add their 2 cents, add to or correct what is being said. Until you remember to stop interrupting others, you may find yourself needing to bite your tongue. Ouch. But people will definitely notice when you listen to them completely before speaking. So we're going to stop thinking and stop interrupting. What can we do? First, practice listening by letting the other person do most of the talking. Some experts recommend up to a 70-30 split. Spend 70% of the time listening and only 30% of the time responding. It's unbelievable how much people will open up and really share when they aren't constantly interrupted. Then listen with your eyes. Make sure to provide eye contact when the other person is talking. This shows you're being attentive when you're actively paying attention. And when we're talking, we tend to look around rather than look intently at the other person. Each culture has their own listening patterns, so be aware of that when in conversation with others. Making eye contact also helps you from getting distracted by things going on in your environment, and this is especially important at networking events. Approximately 60 to 75% of all communication is non-verbal. Clearly, we need to pay attention to the other person's body language to get the full story. Now, this isn't always possible if you aren't with the person, but even then, listening carefully to their tone, emphasis, and word choice will give you a better picture of what they're really saying. Once you know someone fairly well, you'll start to pick up on their tells, the little gestures they make when they are feeling a certain way. These will help you listen better than if you only use your ears. Now, I shared earlier that you don't want to interrupt, but you do want to ask questions to make sure your understanding is clear and to show you're deeply engaged. Don't ask questions just for the sake of it, but don't be afraid to speak when you have something you're curious about. Try to slip them in at a stopping point or a decent-sized pause rather than just blurting them out. Now, if you want to keep the person talking or want more information, asking open-ended questions will help. Now, open-ended questions are ones that can't be answered with a yes or a no, or other simple one-word answer. It avoids the 1 or 2 word outputs and gives the speaker a chance to give a fuller explanation or clarify a point. When you ask these types of questions, you demonstrate that you care about what they're saying and you're paying attention. One of the challenges we can have is to listen without judgment, especially when you don't agree with them. Now, this might happen when you touch on topics that are subjective. It's easy to misunderstand what people are really saying when you have already formed an opinion about them or the subject. Do your best to avoid making judgments. If you catch yourself doing it, just notice the dip in judgment, make a mental correction, and come back to pure listening. When we're paying attention to something else in our environment and not to the person talking, guess what? We're going to do a halfway job of hearing them at best. Our attention is divided, so we only pick up bits and pieces of what they say. And guess what else? They will probably notice that they only have half your attention. Reduce the distractions where possible. If you're on a phone call, stop doing everything else like surfing the web or tapping that email and really focus on the words that the other person is saying. If you're out at a networking event, use the eye contact technique from earlier and really focus. When a conversation is emotional, or the other person is sharing something that is emotionally charged, whether it's excitement, worry, or hurt, it's even more important to actively listen and listen for the emotional undertone so that you can really connect with a person on a heart level. Don't be afraid to open yourself up to that type of listening because it can make a huge difference in the depth of your relationship with that person. Now, while I focus a lot on business relationships in all my content, knowing somebody on a personal level makes the business relationship that much stronger. And you need to show you're listening. This means nodding your head when you understand or agree with them. You can also include quick positive comments like sure or yes, which let them know you are right there with them, actively listening. Have you ever tried to talk openly to someone who gives you absolutely no signals that they understand, agree, or even care what you're talking about? That kind of stoic listening is unnerving to the other person. Even facial expressions like a sudden smile or raising your eyebrows gives the speaker clues that you're actually hearing what they're saying. This isn't something you can switch on or off. You need to practice active listening. We've all been in situations where we weren't quite sure we understood exactly what the other person was getting at. Now, since communication styles differ, it's safe to clarify or verify that you are getting it by rephrasing it in your own words. This does two important things. First, it lets the other individual know that you're actually truly listening and are trying to fully understand. It also gives you both the chance to clarify any miscommunications before going further into the conversation or before action is taken on a misunderstood recommendation or request. Along with active listening, we also need to be fully in the present moment, not thinking about the last time the person had this same problem and went on and on about it. Not thinking about what you will have for lunch because your stomach just growled. Not thinking about the time this conversation is taking up and all the other things you could be doing. Yeah, we do this a lot, don't we? This tip goes hand in hand with several of the other suggestions and can be felt by the other person. Get this right and they will pick up the vibe that you are really hearing and understanding them. If you're trying to strengthen your relationships, practice active listening is very important. If you show often enough that you have other things on your mind or don't really care about what they want to talk about, the other person will eventually stop communicating, at least with anything that's worth sharing. It effectively closes down communication. And without clear communication about things that are important to both of you, a business relationship has little chance of surviving or growing. Becoming a master at the art of communication can improve all your business relationships and personal interactions as well. It shouldn't be assumed that you're listening just because you're keeping silent and looking at the person. It takes practice and attention to master the craft, but it is well worth it. You'll start to see immediate results in each of your relationships when you begin using these techniques. What's your biggest takeaway from the Let's Talk Referrals vlog this week? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.